That ain't good. I'm gonna show you how to fix that. We're gonna do it right now. Here is a project that I have been talking about for maybe 4 years. It's been a while anyways. It's replacing these bulkhead stairs. As you can see, they're not in great shape. And the number one thing before I start fixing stuff like this is to find the problem and fix that. Obviously, we've had some rot issues. These have just fallen down. They're all kinds of messed up. And the reason for that was because I had a very leaky bulkhead. I had water pouring in here, literally pouring down the sides of this concrete, saturating all this and destroying the stairs. To fix that, I put a new bulkhead in, I put gutters above the bulkhead, I fixed the siding. I just recently replaced a bunch of rot inside here, and I added this new framing here. So the next step is to take care of these stairs. And step one of that is to tear them out. And I think it might be pretty easy. I don't like saying the E word, but let's tear them out and see how it goes. Oh, I'm gonna start at the bottom here. I put in timber locks on this one because this was super loose. These have gotten worse over time, but they've always been pretty terrible. But this was my attempt to hold off on repairing these. That one, and then on the other side, I don't think I really need to take that one out. Yeah. Ooh, Spidey. I don't even think I need a pry bar. Nope. So, let's see. So they did stringers at a 2x, and then they put plywood here. I think probably because they bought maybe 2x8 or 2x10 stock, which right here is a little small. I don't know if they did that afterwards or while they, were putting it together. But at the bottom, I can see I got some pieces here. There's 3 different pieces. 1, 2, 3. And then they nailed it with, oh, there's another piece of plywood, roofing nails. I think these are just 2x4s. I think that's how they did it. Maybe they ran out of, maybe it wasn't long enough. Oh, look at this. I don't know if it was ever attached to anything. I think on the bottom it was just resting against a board. When you're sitting on dirt and that dirt's getting wet from a leaky bulkhead and whatever else, it's gonna rot. And in fact, there were ants in here too. All the water is gone, the ants are gone. So now I can build new stairs. That's pretty bad. Stairs are gone. Now we just have dirt. And I guess that's not ideal. I have a bunch of options on how to do these stairs. So I could do some forms and I could pour concrete and make concrete stairs. I'm not gonna do that. And the reason is because I've just never done that and I don't wanna pay somebody to do it. I'm gonna build them out of pressure treated and because I know how to build stairs, and if something happens with it, I can rebuild it, but I don't think I'm gonna have a problem. I also toyed with the idea of pouring concrete over this just to cover it up at an angle right here and like tying into all of the walls, but I feel like it's gonna be a waste because this is kind of outside and I don't know. I just don't see the benefit of it. I feel like it's gonna be a waste of money on the concrete and a waste of time and energy, and it's probably gonna be difficult because it's on a slope. So I'm gonna get all the trash out of here and kind of tuck some dirt back up in here and move on to building the stairs. Now I'm gonna take my shovel, and there's like a concrete pad here. I wanna find out how far back it goes. I can hear it right there. I'm just gonna clean this up, and at the same time I'll shovel this all the way at the top and use that to tuck in under that concrete up there. So let's see where it stops. If it stops. I think I found it. Right here. So that's where it stops. So now you can see I magically have a stair stringer in place. When it comes to building stair stringers, the two things that are the most important are rise and run. Run is the total distance from where your stair stringer is starting, where it's up against that concrete there, to where you want them to end, right here. That is a horizontal measurement. The rise is a vertical measurement. So the rise, the total rise of this would be from here, and if you imagine a line that goes right here, down to where the stair stringer stops, from the concrete pad up to this imaginary line, that is the total rise. So you need to get those two measurements to start. One other thing about these stairs is that you kind of have to throw code out of the window. This is on a permit, I'm getting it inspected, but it's a bulkhead, and as you can see where my head is, this is already not up to code, and there's nothing I can do about it. So as soon as you put this step in, this first step right here, even before you do that, this is not up to code. But because it is a bulkhead entrance, it is a little different where you can kind of make the situation work as best as you can for what you have and not really worry about codes. But definitely check your local building codes if you're looking to do this. Get a permit, do it the right way. I'm gonna get the rise first. This is basically the platform that we're starting with, and it needs to go down to that concrete pad. So, in order to measure this, I'm gonna take a nice long level, and to make this easier, because I'm doing this by myself, I'm gonna take a nail, wherever this is level, I'm gonna put it in right here, in order to hold this level where it needs to be. And then I decide where I want my stairs to end. That measurement you can kind of play around with. I want them pretty much right here. So I measure down to the concrete pad, like so, right where I have that stringer. And then as I go up, you can see I have 59 1/4. So I'm gonna write that down. This is the rise, 59 1/4. I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. Come back here. And this concrete pad comes up like this, and it's not the same on this side as it is the other side. So this is one of those things that we're going to have to just make work for us. Hold my tape at the highest point, and I can see that this is 59 3/8, which is really close. 59 3/8. Here's where things get a little tricky. Because this bulkhead is different, this pad dips at different spots. This top step right here dips this way, so that's going to be thrown off. I'm going to have to take some liberties, and the first liberty I'm going to take is taking this measurement, 59 1/4, and 59 3/8 and making this easy for you and for me and turning that into 60 for both sides. And we can adjust accordingly afterwards. So the rise, in order to get how high each step needs to be, you need to take that total rise and divide it by how many risers you think you're going to have. This is a riser, right here to here, and here to here. That is a riser. So we're going to take that 60-inch measurement, that's our total rise from that concrete pad to that top landing, and we're going to divide that by 7. We're going to assume that we're going to have 7 risers. And our measurement is 8.57. The code in Massachusetts, I believe, is 8.50 or below. So that right now exceeds code. I am going to try and stay under that for this just because I can. So now we're going to try and do 60 inches divided by 8. That equals 7.5. That's a 7.5 inch step, and that's a comfortable step. It has to be at least 4 inches, I think, but at that point, you'd be walking down the stairs like this. So 7.5 is gonna be my step. In order to get the run for these stairs, which is this measurement right here, so you know what to cut these at, you can do one of two things. You can either determine it yourself. Let's say you want that to be 10 inches, and you can do an inch overhang, make your treads 11 inches. 10 times the number of steps that you have, that you're planning on having, 7, obviously 70 inches, pretty easy math. But if you look from here to here, 70 inches is not gonna work. So even though you want 70 inches, you're not gonna get it in this situation. So instead, what I have to do is figure out where I want these stairs to land, and what I decided was 56 inches. So now I can take that measurement, 56 inches, and divide by the number of steps, 7, and I'll get 8 inches, which is exactly what this is. Each step is 8 inches. So I could make these steps a little wider and lose a step and try and make it as close to 8.5 inches to be below code, but I'm picking and choosing my battles here, so this is what we're going with. I know this might sound complicated, but once you do it, once you think about it and put it in practice, just mark your board. You can even use a big piece of cardboard to see if it's going to work, but what it comes down to is, like I said, rise and run, and just a little bit of math. I really hope this helps, and I hope this makes sense. So we have our rise and our run, and I'm going to show you how to cut one of these stair stringers. First, I'm going to nail these in so I don't poke my eye out. That's an important step. You need your eyes. I'm going to cut my stair stringers out of 2x12, and the reason I use 2x12 is so there's plenty of material to make these nice and strong. All you need to mark these out is a frame and square, and I'll show you exactly how. This is an 8-foot 2x12, so I have plenty of length here. I'm going to hold my frame and square about here to start, away from the edge, and this measurement is going to be my rise measurement, and then this one is going to be my run. So I want to hold my square right here at 7.5 inches, because that is my rise. And then on this side, right here, I want to hold this at 8 inches, right on the edge of the board. Make sure they're both where they need to be. And mark it like this. If it was different, where this is 7.5, and this I wanted to make 10 inches, that's exactly what I would do. Hold it 7.5 right here, hold this at 10 inches, and mark it that way. So now, for the next one, I do the same exact thing. Just line up at that mark and on the edge of the board, 7.5 inches, and then for my run, hold it at 8 inches, and mark it. Now you do that same thing over and over again until you have the amount of risers and the amount of treads that you need. So right here is my first riser of this tread, and what I want to do is take my framing square and hold it just like this and make a line this way, and then I'm gonna take my tape measure and I'm gonna do another run measurement right here. You could also measure this with your framing square, but these numbers are nice and big on this tape, and I want you to understand that this is your first run. This is your top step. So I'm marking 8 inches. I'm going to draw a line right here. So now if you can picture, this right here is going to go up against that concrete wall, and then this is my first tread. So now you count the number of risers, including that concrete wall. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then this is going to be my 8th and final riser. So now I'm going to square this off, 8 inches, go like this. And then you might think, because this is my last riser, that I would make that my riser measurement. But what I actually want to do, instead of doing 7.5, is I have to take into account the material that I'm going to use for my treads. And in my case, it's going to be 1.5 inches. 7.5 minus 1.5 inches is 6 inches. So make a mark right here. 6 inches, and mark that. This is something that people forget a lot of the times. Basically, this concrete pad is your first tread. So if you had this be 1.5 inches higher without taking that material off, this is going to be 7.5 inches, and then you put your tread on, and now you're going to have an extra 1.5 inches, which is 9 inches. So that's going to throw it all off. So remember to take the width of the material off that last riser. Now I just showed you how to mark out your first tread, but after that, you can take that tread and use it as a template like this. I just matched up all my lines to get it as close as possible, and it never actually works out to be the same exact. So I'm just going to mark these to make sure that when I cut this, everything is exactly the same. It'll be my dominant line. Before I cut all of my stringers, I want to cut one, and I want to make sure it's going to work for the left side, the right side, and the middle. I'm putting 3 stringers here. In order to figure out where to put those against the wall, I want to measure down from here. We can consider this the top of a tread. So measuring down 7.5 inches, you can see is right here, but I made a mark at 9 inches. And the reason I did that is because I want to hold my framing or my stringer down that far, that 1.5 inches, because that is the thickness of the material of my tread. Just like we took off from the bottom, I want to hold this down that same thickness. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but something's off. And what's off is this whole driveway and this whole wall. It pitches down like this. So this measurement here, 9 inches from the top. When you go over to this side, you actually have about 8.5 inches. So it's a 1/2 inch off. But I wanted to measure off of this side because I'd rather have a smaller step over here than measure on this side and have a bigger step on this side. Another one of those things that you just got to figure out and make work for your situation. Okay. I already cut a block right here just to hold it in place. And that is actually perfect. Now down here, they have a little tiny gap right here. So I'm probably going to want to scribe this to the concrete pad, just so that this front sits. That's not a huge deal, but I know that this is probably out of level a little bit, and we should try and get it as close as we can. Yeah, it can go down very slightly. I don't know if it's the same on the other side. We'll see. Clear this out. I had to dig this ground out a little bit more. And that is another reason I don't want to pour concrete here. I'd have to dig this all out, and then the slope gets even steeper. It'd just kind of be difficult. Let's see. Look at that. It is the same. Now if you look at this side, there's a big gap here. And back here, it's touching the dirt. So let's check this. Oh yeah. So I think once I take this off and get this tight down here, we're going to be in good shape. But that's something we can do before we attach these permanently. So now we know that this side is going to be good after a little alteration. That side is going to be good. Again, a little tiny bit of alteration on that side. So the middle, I'm sure we're going to be able to make work. So now I can cut my other two stringers. I saved the most cupped piece for the middle. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that besides go buy a new piece. But once this stuff dries out, it does all kinds of funky stuff. I'm just hoping that it doesn't split. But once we attach the treads, it should be good. So I got my two stringers in here, and down here, just have a 4-foot level going across, and you can see that it's off, which is what I expected because I need to scribe that side more than I do this side. Just about there would make it level, so maybe a 1/2 inch or so. But they both have to go down. So right here, I've marked the stringer where it touches the concrete, and I'm going to take off 1/8 of an inch right here, which is what that gap is. On the other side, I'm going to have to take off more. Let me see if I can get this to where it touches the concrete. Okay, so it's touching back here. I'm going to mark right here, and I'm going to measure this gap, 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark right here, 1/2 inch. So I basically want to go from nothing to a 1/2 inch right there, and then carry that line back all the way. And that should give me the angle to drop down. I'll mark 1/2 inch right here. My framing square, hold it tight right here. Again, as long as this is sitting on the concrete somewhere, we should be good. 6 inches. Looks funny, but it'll work. That's 1/8 of an inch. Just need to not confuse myself with these lines. Now I just got to cut the correct line. Hey, that's perfect. A little bit of a gap. All right, so the left and the right stringer are in place. The fronts on the bottom are touching the concrete. So this step now is gonna be 7.5 inches, just like the rest of them. Tight there, tight here, and we are perfectly level. And I checked just in case these right here, and these are looking good. So those are roughly where those stringers are gonna go. I'm just gonna get the middle one all set so I know that I'm good before I attach anything. Unfortunately, I have to make a path. It's about here. I'll leave plenty of room. I can just take this and send it up top. Besides the fact that it's twisted, let's see if it works. So there's a gap right here, and it's tight back here. I've taken my pencil and kind of held it like this to mark what I have to take off. And then hopefully that'll get that so that there's no gap, and this is sitting nice and tight to the concrete. See if that works. Okay, so for what this is, I mean, that one's absolutely perfect, but some of them are off a little bit, and that's what I mean by off. What is that, a 16th? So I'm gonna go ahead and say we're good. Once we put our 1.5 inch pieces on here, our 2x, yeah, this one's perfect. That one's perfect. Nice. So it's nice and level. So we're good. Now let's talk about how we attach these. So this is what I'm going to use to attach these. They go like this. They nail into this and then into here, but I don't want to screw 6 concrete screws and drill 6 concrete holes in this. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put kind of a ledger right here. Pressure treated 2x10, I think. Yeah, 2x10 from here to there. And then I'm going to leave these away, probably about this much, which is 4 inches. Do the same on the other side. That's so that I can get nails in here on this side. So first thing I'm going to do is get an 1.5 inch block, and I know you thought that we were done cutting the stringers, but I'm going to cut them one more time. So my ledger is going to go up against here, so I need to leave this in the same place. So I'm going to just make a line here and do that same thing with all 3 of these. Just cut that out, and then this will remain in the same spot that it is right now. I'm also going to mark these left, center, and right, so that I know when I go to put them back in. Measure for my ledger, 50 5/8 roughly, 50 3/4. We'll go 50 5/8. So here's my ledger. I want to just make marks of where these stringers are going. So I'm going to hold them away 4 inches from the edge. One here, and one on this side. And then we're going to put one dead center here. So these stringers are going to go here, stringer, and then center here. What's cool is on a frame and square, this is exactly 1.5 inches, which is the size of the stringer. I'm gonna use expansion anchors or sleeve anchors, whatever you want to call them. These ones are 4-inch, so I should have plenty into the concrete. Now I just got to decide where to put them. Here, all I want to do is make sure that those hangers are going to be clear. Should be fine. And the same thing on this end. One right here. I don't want to go too close to the edge. I'm doing about right there. So 4.5 from the top. 4.5 from the top here. They don't have to be perfect. These other two I'll put like this. So I'm going to pre-drill this just to get through the ledger. The brand of sleeve anchors that I'm using are Redheads, and I just wanted to show you the specifications here. I am using 1/2-inch bolts. They have to be embedded at least 1 7/8, which is going to be perfect because mine are 4-inch. I'm going through 1.5 inches, so we're good there. And this is the pull-out strength, 2,200 pounds. That's the minimum. And the shear strength for 1/2-inch bolts is 4,000 pounds at a minimum. And I'm doing 4 of them. So I think these are going to be plenty strong. I'm going to attempt to hold up my ledger and then just mark out those holes with my 1/2-inch mason bit. Looks good. Now I got my big drill, my SDS Plus, and I'm gonna drill these holes. I'm just seeing how far I actually have to go. Okay. That's actually really thick, so that's a good thing. I'm just going to get an idea here how far to go down, and I'm going to use some construction adhesive because why not? I'm going to try and put these in here, just get the 2 on either end in. I have the nut on these. Just gonna send them in. Those 2 in. And the way these work, I've shown it a bunch of times, but they go in like this, and then as you tighten this nut up, this sleeve goes over this end here and expands. And that's what gets held to the concrete. Pretty cool little things. So I'm going to hold this to the line. We're good on that side. Looks pretty good on that side. I'm just going to double check. Nice. Okay. These are not the typical hangers you're going to see a lot of people using. These are actually angled rafter hangers, but they're really heavy duty, and I think for this situation they're going to work out really well. I'm going to take 1 screw, go right in the bottom here. These are structural strong tie screws, and I can bend these like that. Cool. Hey, let's put one of these in. back where we had it lined up before. Might be hard to see. Sorry if I'm blocking your view. I am going to attempt to get these joist hanger nails in here, like at an angle. I don't know about this side. Hopefully I held it away far enough. I should be able to get these in without hitting concrete. Let's see. I'm going to start with the hard ones. So this is going to go through the stringer and into here. Very nice. This one I'm going to have to hold it so it's even at the top and screw it in at the same time. The stringers are all attached at the top. That's sweet. Perfectly level. And there's barely maybe a 1/16 gap somewhere there. That one's good, same thing, about a 1/16. All right, I am happy with that. One more thing I could do at the bottom here to make these really secure is by putting pressure treated blocks in between and bolting this to the concrete. But honestly, I'm not too worried about it. I think there's going to be enough holding these up at the top. One thing I might do when I go to do this door after this framing is in, I might put some blocks in here tight from here to here on each side. And that will make it super secure. But I'm really not worried about it. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. We can put our treads on. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. That way I don't have to keep moving these stringers around. I know that the bottom's good. Once I nail it, it'll stay in place, and the top obviously is nailed. That's not going anywhere. One other thing I want to do with these stairs is I want to cut these treads really tight, and that's another reason I went with 2x, because I wanted something a little thicker to help out with supporting these walls. I know these walls have been here for 70 years or so. They haven't gone anywhere, but just in case, I'm going to put them down tight, and that way at least they can't bow in, or they're going to have trouble bowing in with all of these treads pushed up tight against them. That might just be my brain going a little crazy and going over the top. 50. I'm sure this is not going to be a square cut, but we'll see how it goes. That's tight. I'm actually going to use some exterior screws, so that way if I ever have to take these apart for whatever reason, I can. Maybe the building inspector is going to tell me, I don't like those stairs, you got to redo them. So this will make it easier to take apart. Just going to do 2 screws. No going back now, right? go into the ledger. Oh yeah. I feel way safer walking down that. And up. Awesome. I have to say, these stairs look way better than they did before, and they're a lot safer, and I'm sure they're gonna last for years to come. But I have to tell you, this video is more of a how I video than a how-to video. And that's just because there's a million different ways that you could build these stairs. Maybe not a million, but there's certain things that you might do that I didn't do. Maybe you would have poured the concrete stairs. Maybe you would have poured the pad underneath these stringers before you built them. Maybe you would have chipped out this concrete wall to make it flat to attach the stringers directly to the wall. Maybe you wouldn't have bolted them. Maybe I shouldn't have bolted that ledger. Maybe I shouldn't have used glue. Maybe I should have used different hangers to hang the stringers. Maybe I should have put the stringers 16 inches on center and not used 2x. Maybe I should have done a bunch of stuff. I could have put an elevator in here or even a slide. The most important thing is that you just do what works for you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, and the best possible thing you could do next to help me out and this channel is to watch another one of my videos. But if you want a little something extra, I have a ton of behind the scenes videos on my Patreon, or if you click the join button below, and that'll help to support my channel, and you'll get a little extra bonus with all that content. But no pressure whatsoever, it's all up to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Gotta do this door now. The McDonald's straw, probably from the 90s. I know my McDonald's. Ah. They had to have dropped a coin at some point. Oh, it's in here. It's a nail. Every time. So we're gonna start by taking that 60-inch measurement. Did you see my code? I wanna make sure that they're gonna work. I want to make sure. I want to take one. Oh my God. Okay. Before I cut all of my stair stringers, I want to take one. But that's something we're going to do with that individual stringer. I want to keep this the same. What? Peanut butter dirt. Kind of hard to hold this in place right now. I just can't hold it in place. Whew. Whoops. That makes sense, Lauren?
Makes sense.
It better. Measure for my leisure. Ow. It was working all the way up till the end. Oh, wow. That's cool. I broke it. Oops. Oops. Ah. All right, that one I cannot do super duper tight. I'm gonna have to trim it. How did I get it in here? Oh my God. This is stupid. Ah, it's stuck. How did I get it in here? Is it at an angle like this? Okay. Oh my God. This is just silly. I have no idea how to get this out of here. There we go. We're gonna trim that one.